Good morning. It's Carrie, and I am doing my morning reflection. It is July the 8th. It's before 7 o'clock. And I've been thinking a lot about something that I've just accomplished, and that is a 100-mile race on foot. Yeah, I'm still on this like great emotional. I still feel so good. I still feel so wonderful. I really do. Like even physically, I've had workouts that have made me feel worse physically. So I don't know. I feel so good. I can't even begin to tell you how happy I am right now. But I wanted to share a little bit about my 100 miles and how really it was like 3 or 4,000 miles. But we'll say 100 miles. I'm 45, but I really didn't start to want to be an athlete until I was in high school. And I joke with students, most of y'all know that I work inside the school system, and I joke with students, I'm like, I know you guys want to get out of school, but for the rest of your life, you're always going to be referring to things that happened in high school and middle school. So sorry, just, make it the best that you can, because you're constantly going to be referring to it, just like I am right now. And I remember this moment. It was in PE in high school, and we were playing a game of softball outside, and I never played any sort of organized sport as a child. And there was a girl, and absolutely beautiful inside and out, drop dead gorgeous, tall, smart. But her name's Mindy Seabolt, and she got up to bat, and the way she hit that ball and the way that ball went flying, I can remember standing there and just being in awe. And I guess experiencing true envy for the first time as a young adult, and thinking, I want that. I want to be able to do that. And so soccer season was coming up, which is not softball. I soon realized that softball was not going to be my sport. I tried to play in college, and quick story, my coach was the sweetest he could be, and he saw my go-get that was inside of me, and he's like, Carrie, I would love to have you on the team, but you are going to hurt yourself. You cannot catch balls with your face. And because I was like, I got it, and I was always, that was not my sport. That's okay. I applaud everybody that can do that, but I was gonna get hurt. He was right. So anyway, soccer season was coming up, and at the time, Logan County did not have a girls' soccer team. So to try out, it was going to be like an all-boys soccer team, and so a couple of my girlfriends, it wasn't like just me, Megalith Berry, and I think it was like Kim Frazier, maybe Sonny McIntyre. There was a couple of us. We're going to try out for the soccer team. And again, I'd never, really played. But a part of the practice and part of the points to get on the soccer team, of course, was running. And the entire first week of practice for the tryouts had nothing to do with soccer ball. We never even touched a soccer ball. It was running. So I can remember going to the football field, and it was called running the lines. So you started on one end of the field, and you ran the lines of the football field. And the soccer coach at the time that I talked to probably every day, he passed away in a car accident. His name was Coach Reed. And talk about like a life-changing experience, and that was, that was almost 30 years ago, and it still makes a difference in my life. And it's about to tie in, but if you wanted to make the team, you had to have like a certain like point system. and you would lose points if you stopped running. So it didn't matter how slow it was, how fast it was, it had to look like a run. So if you see me run like this past weekend, everybody's like, "Wow, you have a really fast walk." I'm like, "No, it's not a walk. This is my run." And that's actually true. I can make a walk look like a run, or vice versa. I don't think I said that right, but yeah, I don't have I'm not the fastest runner. I just keep going. I made the team, not because of skill, but I didn't stop running. And I had the worst shin splints. I remember being in so much pain in school, but I wanted to please my coach. I loved him very much, and I wanted to be a part of everything that he was. So I started to run on my own. I remember leaving my house, and here in Dahlonega, there's not many options to run that doesn't have hills. So I had, just starting off small, and it was me going from, sorry, I miss Coach Reed. I talk to him all the time. Me going, just down and back from my driveway, which I can get a mile in pretty quick, going up and down my driveway 4 times. And then it got to where I knew if I go up to this church and back, that's a mile there and a mile back, so that's 2 miles. And I had different places I could run to that I knew the different mileage. And this is just when it came. This is Ironman running. This is no Strava. This is me just kind of guessing the mileage and everything. But I fell in love with what being outside was, and that was a very, every teenager, especially teenage girls going through that time, I found peace and solitude from a very emotional time in my life, running, fast walking, slow jogging, and it changed my life. Fast forward way far ahead to years later, opening a CrossFit gym. And this is about 15 years ago. And I still to this day had never really considered myself a true athlete. And I'm standing in the gym, and again, I've always been, farm strong. I always would spend my summers splitting wood with my dad, pushing a mower. I joke with my husband and with everybody, say the whole reason that he married me because I had broad shoulders and could push a mower. Maybe. But anyway, so I'm standing in my gym, and there were some people surrounding me that I just absolutely had the utmost respect for, not only as people, but as athletes. And there was a woman in my gym that I absolutely, from the moment that I met her, loved her. And it was that envy again, the ones that feeling that I had, that I envied Mindy Siebold when she hit that softball. There was a woman in my gym that I had known before then, and I envied not just her athletic life, but her personal life and the relationship that she had on many levels with a lot of other things. And I was standing in the gym, and I had just heard of this race in Alabama that just happened. It was called the Pinhoity. And I was like, wow, I want to do something like that. They just ran 100 miles on these trails. It was from Heflin to Sylacauga, the home of Gomer Pyle. And I was like, I'm going to be able to do something like that one day. That's what I want. I want to run 100 miles. And I can hear her in the background. I overheard her talking to another girl, and I heard her say, she's too big for that. She'll never do it. And I go about, laughing and joking and trying to pretend like I didn't hear it. Well, I signed up for Pinhoity the next year. And it would have been awesome if I could say that I finished it and I came in with my shirt and my belt buckle. But but I didn't. I mean, I'd only ran a 10K at that point, and then I signed up for Pinhoity, which I did. I mean, I didn't do bad, but I've met some of the most incredible people, and it was, when I look back on that race, it was, I can see myself. It was like I can step out of the race. I can step out of where I was, and I can see myself basically shuffling into this last aid station, in the middle of the night, and I met the most incredible people, and I became a part of this ultra running world, and I was accepted by strangers. I mean, I'd driven myself there, and I fell in love with ultra running, and I said, this is the world that I want. And before I take my last breath on this earth, I always joke, I said my last thought is going to be, I'm still hungry. And I want to run a 100-mile race. I want it. Well, Carrie's flat-footed, so I've had 5 reconstructive foot surgeries. I've tried every shoe out there, you can imagine, every implant, and there were years that I had to have, like a surgery, and then I was in a cast, and I was told you can't run for 6 months. I had several foot specialists and podiatrists telling me you don't need to be a runner. You need to, get on your bike. You need to hydro aerobics, which is great, but no. You need to, Carrie, why don't you head on down to Gainesville and do some rowing? Yeah, I'll do that. Plus, but I want to run. And I finally found my last podiatrist that did my last surgery. He's like, no, we'll get you out there. So, but again, that's 5 reconstructive surgeries, with at least 6 months of being told, no, you cannot run. So that was a lot of time off. 3 attempts at the Pinhoity, and this was like pre-ultra sign up, with no record type things. I cannot tell you how many attempts at other races that were DNFs. There have been races that were just half marathons that I would just my stomach getting so upset. DNFs. And I would have to come back and write, I tried, but still didn't make it. But I'm going to. Now, as a coach, I work inside the school system, and I would, tell my students, and then I taught at a college for several years. I trained firefighters, and I would share the story that I wanted to run a 100-mile race, and how I overheard this girl saying that I was too big to be a runner, and that I didn't need to, and how I signed up for this race. And of course, everybody is wanting me to say, yeah, I finished the race. And the one I'm like, no, I still hadn't finished one. So of course, on the inside, they're thinking, oh, maybe she is too big. And on the inside of me, there's that thought of, maybe I am too big. Maybe I'm not cut out for this. Maybe I can't. Maybe I'm not going to be an ultra runner. Maybe she's right. I don't like that answer. I'm going to prove her wrong. So, I think I've had like 4 or 5 attempts with Merrill's Mile, and it's a 48-hour race. And so you think, okay, you got 48 hours, to do this 100-mile loop. I mean, you should be able to do this. But it's like pavement pounding on your body. I'm a trail runner. Don't really like pavement running. None of us out there really enjoy pavement running. And what it does to your body. Usually every race I've ever done comes with tremendous foot pain that I have learned to get through. But this past few months, I really been starting to actually train. I signed up for the run across Tennessee, and so it was like every day 4 miles or 6 miles or 7 miles. And so I knew from my house again where the 1 mile mark was, where a 6 mile loop was, where a 4 mile loop was, where a 2 mile loop was. Only this time I wasn't doing it by myself. I had my husband. and extremely supportive. And every day it was like, okay, you know, you need to get home. You still got like an hour and a half of sunlight. So you'll be able to get this many miles in. I'll come home and I'll do it with you. No matter how fast or how slow, he was always there. So I get down to Merrill's, and I'm like, this is it. This is my year, 2020. You know, real peaceful year. Not a lot going on. You know, no big deal. And I get down there, and I know almost everybody there, because again, been down there a lot of DNFs, not finishing what I want to do. And I'm like, this is my year. This is it. This is it. I did not take my phone with me one time on a single lap. Not a single song, not a single podcast. I took very few pictures. I was extremely focused. That was not my typical mindset of getting involved and, you know, stopping at tents, saying hey to everybody. I was focused. I'm getting it this year. And the first 12 hours, I did 37 laps, which is like super fast for me. And something clicked. And there's that moment where you're like, I'm going to get it. I got this. And then like 5 laps later, you're like, no, I'm done. I'm good. And you hit these walls. And I hit several walls. It was extremely hot. I knew that I had 3 things to look for that were going to stop me. I needed to take care of my feet. As soon as I felt, you know, hot spots, as soon as I thought I was going to get like a blister, as soon as I knew something was wrong with my feet, I had to stop and fix it, and I did. And I cannot thank enough. I had a friend, David, who gave me some magical unicorn type Band-Aids that saved me. I would not have been able to do it without that. And I knew I had to address hot spots on my body as far as chafing goes. I did. Can't tell you how many times I changed my shorts, my pants. I was soaked in sweat the whole time. And then the number 3 is the stomach, which sometimes you can't do a thing about. And that's almost what got me at the end, was my stomach. So I'm going, and I'm going, and I'm going. And I'm like, I'm not stopping. I'm not stopping. And then I had a marathon left to go. I had about 27 laps to go, and I hit a huge wall. And time-wise, I was still doing good, but physically, just I hadn't been able to really eat hardly any food. You know, the heat, that's when the lack of sleep starts to kick in, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. I still have, you know, stuff to do during the week. I need to cut grass. I've got, you know, gymnastics camp coming up. I got 5 college classes. And then you start to doubt yourself. And you go through this role of, what are you doing out here? You still have stuff to do. You still have responsibilities. Why would you even push yourself to even think about getting hurt? And all these conversations start to happen inside your head, and you start to find ways to get out of it. You start to find ways to stop. And it is this journey, it is a hero's journey, where you have to have this battle inside your head of, you know, I call it Susan and Magnum, and Susan's over here like, no, I like you, you're too big for this. You know, you got to be at work. You have responsibilities. You shouldn't be out here. And then I always say that over here is my Magnum PI. Magnum's like, you look great. You got this. And it's always been Susan and Magnum. And I say Magnum because as a kid, I mean, who doesn't love Magnum PI? But also, Magnum PI always spent the 4th of July by himself. If you watch Magnum, which I'm sure all of you have, you know this. And probably one of the greatest episodes ever took place during the 4th of July. And he's in the ocean. And it wasn't solving a case. Well, he was. It was himself. And so, just like Magnum PI on the 4th of July is what I say whenever I would do any type of long run on the 4th of July. Merrill's Mile Band on the 4th of July weekend is very emotional for me on many different levels. So I hit my wall, a big wall, with a marathon left to go, and there was a gentleman on the course, and he recognized that in me, and I'd never met him before, but he saw in me that I'd hit that wall, and he also saw something in me that, I mean, it's amazing to meet the people out there, but when he finished his race, he came up to me, and I think at that time I had like 20 laps to go, so, about 20 miles, and he said, I need you to listen to me. And again, I don't know this man from Adam. And he said, number one, don't stop. He said, I'm going to get up in the morning, and I want to see your name on Ultra Sign Up, and I want to see that you finish this race, period. Do not stop. And he said, you remind me a lot of my wife. I love her. She's beautiful. And she dedicates every part of her life to everyone else. You have to be selfish. For the next, 20 miles, you have to be selfish. You cannot think about trying to please everybody else. You have to do this for you. And that's going to be hard for you because you're not used to that. But you have to do that. And I thought, who told him about me? How does he know who I am? And I thought, that's going to be the hardest part. And he was right. That's what I had to do. So I had two of some of my best girlfriends come down, and I had like 15 miles left or so. And again, I wanted to stop. Every lap is a big wall at this point, and it's my stomach. And oh my gosh, it was just incredible. It felt like contractions. And my little girlfriend, one of the most powerful people ever to be such a small body. It's not even funny, Carla. And Carla was like, if I had to drag you across that line, you are getting your 100 miles. And at that point, it's not what you want to hear. You're like, go away. You don't understand. I've been out here and I've been running and my stomach hurts. And she just got all this fight in her. And I'm like, I just want somebody to tell me to lay down. It's okay. And there was a snake out here earlier, and I wish it would bite me so that I could get out of this stupid race and I could go home. I wish the snake would bite me. I just wanted to bite me. And you actually have these thoughts in your head because you're so exhausted. And I did. I was like, I just want to get out of this race. Somebody just put me out of my misery. What am I doing? And then I just, every lap somebody would say, good job, you're doing good, and God bless my husband. He put up with so much crap. One lap I'm super nice, thank you, baby, I love you. And the next lap, you go with you, no! Well, I need to get down to 6 laps. I was done. I basically scrambled to the car. It's like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. 30 something hours into this race. Stupid race. I scrambled to husband's truck, crawl inside, and I'm freezing 1 minute, burning up the next minute, because your body's confused. They're like, are we hypothermic? Are we hot? What's going on right now? I'm having to stop at the Porta-John every single lap because my stomach doesn't know what is happening. They're like, are we in labor? What's going on? And he comes to the truck. He's like, what's happening? I'm like, I'm done. I just want to go home. And he's like, you have 6 miles, left. You have 6 laps. I'm like, I'm done. I can't move. He's like, what, do you want me to turn your bracelet in? And that's what times this. And I'm like, no, just go get her stuff. Get out of the way. What's up with me? And also there's a little tap on the door. Sarah. Little Sarah. Big old muscle Sarah. And she's like, you need to get out of the truck. She said, you have 6 laps to go. There's 6 of us here. We'll walk it with you. And I was like, they're going to walk it with me. They're going to make me go. She said, if anybody can do this, it's you. I needed to hear that. I wanted and didn't want to hear that. So I started to ugly cry, got out of the truck, and walked a very quiet mile with her for a little bit, and then I started talking again. Then I had 5 laps to go, 5 miles. She's like, you want somebody to go with you? I said, no, I've got this. And in my head, you start to see things, but I went back to the soccer field. And I went back to me at 14, 15, running the lines on the soccer field and telling myself, don't stop. You need to make the team. Don't stop. Don't make Coach Reed unhappy. Don't stop. You want to be a part of his world. Don't stop. They're watching. Don't stop. And I could see me as a child running from my house, going to the church for the first time and doing my 2 miles. And so when I had like 4 miles left, I was like, okay, it's 2 trips to the church. And then when I had 2 miles left, there's a house, and I know exactly where it's the mile mark. And I was like, okay, it's to the house and back. And in a moment, I could see every time I had ever ran there and back. And I saw every time I ever ran a race. Every moment I'd ever put in a bib on. Every time I was ever caught in a rainstorm. Every moment that I went out and ran in the woods by myself. And then I saw all the first times that I ever ran with my husband and I wasn't by myself anymore. And I saw myself that first time with the Pinhoity going into that aid station with not just a few new friends, but a new world that I was going to be a part of. And then it came down to 1 lap. Just a few trips up and down the driveway, Carrie. Just a few trips up and down the driveway. Don't stop. You want to make the team. Don't stop. You want to make the team. Don't stop. Don't stop. And I had that mile to go, and I took off, and I was like as fast as I could go in flip-flops with these contraction-type muscle pains. And it was a full moon. There's coyotes howling in the background. And it was the most amazing mile I've ever had in my life. I carried on Roy, have a belt buckle. I finished a 100-mile race. It took me several thousand miles to get here. But if I think for a second that I finished a 100-mile race on my own, that's absolutely nuts. Everybody was out there with me. Coach Reed was there. Magnum VI was there. And every lap and every mile, I carried hundreds of people behind me. Hundreds of memories. Hundreds of miles that I had tried to run and maybe didn't quite run it the way that I wanted to. I feel good today. Now I gotta sign up for my next 100. I'm Carrie Roy. Please don't ever give up on what you really want to do. Love yourself.